I'm Bobby Levine.
And I'm Mitchell Lyons.
And we have a whole bunch of sports to talk about. We have football, basketball, and hockey, and much more here on Ohio Sports Zone. Well, Ohio University started off the week early on Tuesday, beating Kent State 27-0 in a complete blowout. The Bobcats improved the record to 6-4 and now become bowl eligible again.
Yeah, this was a win that Ohio had to have. They snapped a 3-game losing streak, and they beat Kent State 27-0. Ohio got the ball to start the game, marched right down the field for a touchdown, and they never trailed. What a difference getting healthy makes. Quentin Poling finally back, and he was all over the field. Had an interception. Same with Javon Johnson. He played all game long, had an interception. And Darius Vick, finally healthy. He had 22 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown. He's the quarterback.
Absolutely. If you look at the stat sheet, you would think that Darius Vick was the running back with 22 carries. He also finished today at 7 for 13 with 73 yards passing and 1 touchdown, both throwing and passing, combined 180 yards. Jordan Reed and Sebastian Smith combined for 4 receptions, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Great game from the Bobcats as a whole, and as you say, getting healthy. You can see on defense the Bobcats played so well together. OU outgained Kent State 441 to 191 yards. They had 22 first downs to 8 first downs and outrushed Kent State by 253 yards. Complete game by Ohio Bobcats.
You mentioned Kent State's 8 first downs, Bobby. They punted 9 times. Ohio was led by their defense going into this year. The defense was starting to falter. The defense is back, and I look for them to pick up their 7th win against Ball State next week.
That would be huge. If the Bobcats can somehow win another game and become 7-4, you can pretty much lock a bowl appearance this year for the Bobcats.
Sure. Let's dive into the swimming pool now and go to the Ohio swimming and diving team.
Unfortunately for the Bobcats, they started out 0-3 on the season. Their depleted roster really affects the scoreboard, and you're seeing it early on now. Fortunately, they're coming back this week. What do you see so far with the Bobcats in the pool?
Well, they start off 0-3, but those losses can be a bit deceiving. They lost to Ohio State in Columbus, Bowling Green, and defending MAC champion Akron. So they're playing tough teams, and they're keeping the score close.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, Laura Dawson was named Mid-American Conference Co-Swimmer of the Week with her performance against, as you said, Akron on October 30th. She has been an all-star so far for the Bobcats. She won all 3 of her individual events against Akron she participated in. She won the 200-yard freestyle, in which she finished just at 152.14 seconds, and the 200-yard backstroke, finishing just over 2 minutes. An outstanding job by Laura Dawson.
Despite having the depleted roster, this is a team that is very experienced. They have 2 graduate seniors, 5 seniors, and 5 juniors. So this is a team that does have experience. You mentioned Laura Dawson, a junior. She has 3 firsts and 3 seconds. Haley Barlett has finished first at Bowling Green in the 1 and 3 meter diving. And a bright spot is freshman Corin Van Leeuwen, who had 2 firsts and 3 seconds on the year.
Absolutely. As you said, the upper class have been key so far for the Bobcats. Hopefully the leadership can help the Bobcats end this year on a positive note, getting into the winter months. And then for next year, they hop in the pool tomorrow at home and facing the Marshall Thundering Herd at 5 p.m. So hopefully the Bobcats can come out and show up and root for the Bobcats. Now we're going to flip the scripts here, and we're going to hop in with hockey. The Bobcats have started out on fire on the ice. They've won the last 5 games, a combined score 22-7. They've also started out on a 13-2-1 record and ranked 10th in the ACHA men's Division I rankings.
This is a team that's led by a dominant offense, and it showed Friday night against Drexler. They won 8-1. Bobby, they scored 18 seconds into the first period, and it didn't slow down. Mike Lafreniere had a hat trick. He also scored with 10 seconds to go in the first period. So you saw how great this offense can be. Drexler's only goal came late in the third period. But you did see Drexler's defense get better throughout the game. Hard to get a lot worse when you give up that goal, but it did get better, and then it showed Saturday night. Their defense was very good. Ohio scored one goal that came late in the third period with Matt Rudin scoring 5 minutes to go. But they pitched a shutout, and they swept Drexler this weekend.
Absolutely. The defense and the goaltending has been outstanding so far for the Bobcats. Aaron Alcoma has been in net most of the time for 581 minutes behind net, posting an 8-1 record, 3 shutouts in the 10 games he's played. He has a save average of 9.20, which is outstanding. Now, on the other side, the offense have pretty much carried the Bobcats. As you said, Michael Harris is leading the team in points with 20, plus minus at plus 12, assists with 11, and goals scored with 9. Altogether, the Bobcats have looked great. What do you see the rest of the season?
Well, coming up this weekend, they have Alabama, and I look for the Bobcats to roll the tide this weekend. Coming up next on Ohio Sports Zone, we preview the basketball teams.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Before we start talking about the men's basketball team this past weekend, we got to give a huge shout out to Saul Phillips, who signed Jason Carter, 6'7", 215-pound forward, who's averaging 20.9 points, 11.3 rebounds at Johnstown Monroe High School for next year. A huge recruit by Saul Phillips, trying to improve this team from the 10-20 record of last year. Last weekend, they played Indiana Tech for a scrimmage. They ended up winning 73-57. What were your takeaways on the game?
Well, the offense struggled, and that's to be expected from a team that lost 3 starters, including their 2 guards in Javaris Bean-Willis and Stevie Taylor. This is a very young team. They only have 1 senior, and that's redshirt senior Treg Setti. But I look for the team to grow together, and Kenny Kaminsky coming in from Michigan State, Jerron Simmons, this team can grow together, and they will be all right.
Absolutely. The team shot 44.1% from the field, only 22.2% from behind the arc. Luckily, the Bobcats only turned over the ball 6 times as they forced 16 turnovers against Indiana Tech. The keys to this game were Treg Setti with 17 points, Kenny Kaminsky with 14 points, 8 rebounds, Jaron Simmons with 11 points and 7 assists, and Antonio Big Campbell with 9 points and 9 rebounds. Do you see the Bobcats, if they can shoot the ball well from behind the 3 as they have the past couple years, which have taken them very far, to get over 10 wins as they were last year?
That's going to be the key because Ohio is going to have to shoot well, and it's tough when you lose Nick Kellogg, Bean-Willis, Endor, Stevie Taylor, but Kenny Kaminsky can light it up from the outside. He played for Tom Izzo as a freshman and then was dismissed for some off-the-field reasons, but he can shoot. Jerron Simmons can as well. And Antonio Campbell started off the season hitting a 3 in the scrimmage.
Absolutely. Hopefully the Bobcats can play as a team, as it felt last year they were missing that key spark as a team play. Now, to women's basketball. They are coming off a 27-5 finish, the first time they went to the tournament in a couple years. For the women's basketball team, they are on fire, and they showed against Wilmington College as they absolutely demolished them at 97-41 on Saturday.
This is going to be a very experienced team. They returned 10 letter winners from last year, and Bobby, this team could be even better, and they won 27 last year.
Absolutely. They jumped out to a 17-0 first quarter lead. The rules have changed in women's basketball. Now they're playing 4 10-minute quarters. They ended up winning the first quarter of a score of 29-4. They ended up shooting 44% from the field and 37.5% from behind the arc. That has been key for the Bobcats the last couple of years.
Who do you think was the MVP of the scrimmage?
Now, in my opinion, I'm going to have to go with Kiera Lampkin. She actually played wonderful. Now, Bob Bolden came in with this game. He played and wanted to play every single person so they can evaluate everyone before the season actually got kicked off. She absolutely did wonderful. I ended up talking to her right after the game, and she ended up saying she felt great to be playing back at the Convocation Center in front of all the home fans and showcasing what they've been working on the offseason as they went 27-5.
Yeah, some of their non-conference games, they open up in Champaign to play Illinois. They play Florida Gulf Coast as well. What else do you see from this out-of-conference schedule?
Well, luckily the Bobcats last year had a very iffy non-conference, which got them a lot of wins going into the conference play, which got them a huge confidence booster. As you said, they have a lot of tough non-conference games, which is going to be hopefully a positive for the Bobcats, as it will be tougher games going into MAC play, because last year when they played Arizona State in the tournament, they looked very sluggish, and it's the first real tough team they played all year. And then this year, they have a whole new freshman class coming in, 5 new freshmen, including native Dominique Dosick, who ended up killing it for the Bobcats as she scored 10 points. Lampkins had 17 points in 20 minutes, and Olivia Bauer, another freshman, had 2 for 3 behind the arc and scored 15 points as she led the Bobcats in scoring.
They even get redshirt freshman Kelly Carleas back this year, and she showed a lot of promise before she got hurt last year. Now, the media is picking the Bobcats to finish first in their division. They're picking them to finish first in the MAC and make the tournament again. They finished so well last year. Can they live up to these expectations?
Bob Bolden is a wonderful coach for the Bobcats. It's his 3rd year here. I do believe they will live up to the hype. He makes sure the media stays out of the locker room. Obviously, with all the hype finishing 27-5, they will be talked about a lot in the MAC. I think the Bobcats are going to play their game, which is the run and go style, put up as many points as they can. As you see, they put up 97 this first scrimmage. They're going to come out, and I think the first couple non-conference games, they might shoot iffy, but they'll do wonderful, and I do believe they will be as great as they were last year and hopefully make the tournament.
It's definitely nice to see a team finish so well. And you just look at this conference schedule. If they pick up some wins, even if they don't win the MAC, they could get an at-large bid.
Absolutely. Hopefully they finished around 7-3 in the non-conference, which will lead them into MAC play. It drops off the MAC play, unfortunately, because the teams aren't as good as you say at Florida Gulf Coast or Illinois, who gets the big recruits because they're in the Big Ten. But we'll have to wait and see. The season's very long. We have a couple games here right before the winter break, and the Bobcats will come back and get ready to play in the MAC play, which will be huge for them. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're talking about Ohio women's volleyball right before the MAC tournament.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I didn't see you there. Ever wonder what really happens in the world? Ever wonder what the media is keeping from you? Well, look no further than AVW's News Time for all your answers. Ohio University's most reliable source of unreliable news. All news, all the time, none of the facts. All made possible by AVW Productions. You could trust us. We're professionals.
The Ohio women's volleyball is about to finish up the regular season as they sit first in the MAC East with a record of 21-6, 11-3. Unfortunately for the Bobcats, end up losing the last couple matches. What's going on, Mitchell?
Well, Ohio started off the season rolling. They beat number 10 ranked Kentucky, and they started off 9-0. They had a 32-game MAC winning streak. You thought, wow, they're going to roll through the MAC, go 16-0 again, and just beat everyone in 3. Kind of like they did last year. That's not the case this year. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games going into Saturday against Central Michigan.
Now, unfortunately, the Bobcats swept Kent State earlier, and they also beat Miami earlier, 3-1, but they end up faltering as of late. Do you think the confidence is going to be hurt going into the MAC tournament in just a week?
I don't think so. This is a team that has seniors all over the place. Senior libero, Meredith Ashe. They have the best setter in all of the MAC and senior Abby Gilliland, who's just a great leader. So they're not hurt by confidence at all. And they finally found the spark they've been looking for in junior outside hitter Mallory Salas. She was magnificent all game long on Saturday. On the outside, she played all the way around, which is something that she doesn't do very often, but Coach Webb wanted her to play around because of her leadership. And it showed. She had 15 kills and 10 digs, and she just provided a much-needed spark for this team.
As Ohio has been faltering as of late, they come in this weekend playing Buffalo and Akron. Buffalo is 7-19, and Akron is a 8-19 record. Very bad. Hopefully it gives them confidence. Not only that, they're playing at home this weekend and then have the MAC tournament next weekend. Do you think that would be key to be able to sleep in their own beds and not worry about travel time and all that stuff?
Absolutely. I definitely think that is very important for the Bobcats. Akron and Buffalo are not that good of teams, so you look for them to pick up 2 more wins, and you go into the MAC tournament with a 3-game winning streak. Ohio hosted the MAC tournament last year, and we all know what happened. They fell to Western Michigan. But I just think this team is a little different. They have suffered some losses, and now they have said that they wanted to get tested. They wanted to be more tested this year because they felt like they were not last year, and they have. They are overcoming some adversity. They've lost to some of the tough teams, and now they're not the number 1 seed with an undefeated record where everyone is gunning for them. Everyone knows that they are the favorite, but now they might come in as the 2 seed, depending on what happens with Northern Illinois. I expect them to win both games this weekend, and they will not lose both times. Give Ohio the 2 seed.
Absolutely. You always hate to see the Bobcats lose, but if they lose late in the season just before the tournament when they have a couple games to go, that could take off the pressure. As you said last year, going undefeated in the regular season, it put so much pressure on the girls, and you saw it in the semifinals. They didn't even make it to the championship with such a great roster, and everyone was expecting them to win the championship and go and hopefully make a long run in the NCAA tournament, but that just did not happen. What are the, disadvantages of this team with so little time left in the season to practice and get better?
Well, Ohio lives by the serve, and they tend to die by the serve. That's a lot of they had a game where they missed 21 serves as a team. You played a 25, so they essentially gave a team a set. And they have 153 aces on this year. Very good, leads the MAC. But they have 252 missed serves. They have 99 more missed serves than their team. They need to clean that up. They want to serve aggressively and get those big point aces, but when you're giving your team missed serves and all that, it really can hurt the team.
Absolutely, missed serves and just giving points to the team will affect it. As you said, it's only to 25, so it's a quick game if you get down by a couple points and then you see the momentum switch over. Now,
their serves are such a momentum killer.
Absolutely, but as you see, with 21 wins, we have to do something right. What are the advantages of this team so far this season?
Like I said, they have the best setter in the MAC, and Abby Gilliland. She's a senior. They have Meredith Ashe, who's the all-time digs leader here at Ohio. So they're led there in the back row. They're very healthy right now. They had a little injuries throughout the year, and they're all healthy. Brooke Coleman's back, and they just laid this team up. Their experience. Their freshmen got experience earlier in this game, like Erica Walker, and she's now playing very key roles.
Absolutely. Well, as we said, this weekend they play home against Buffalo and Akron. If they do win these 2 games, they will be the 2 seed going to MAC play. Do you see them going to the championship and hopefully winning the MAC this year if they do win these 2 games and get the 2 seed?
Well, I think Ohio, it doesn't really matter if you're the 1, 2, or 3 seed. I think that they are the best team in the Mid-American Conference, and I think that they will end up with the 2 seed, get these wins this weekend, and they will win the MAC. They now have revenge going into some of these tough games. They will have the double bye, so they're automatically, if they get the 2 seed, finish in the Final 4. So, and they just have to win the 2 games. They would play the 3 or the 6 seed. 3 seed could be Kent, which would be tough, but they know they want to get back to the MAC tournament, and I feel like Abby and Meredith and Karin do not want to not make the big dance this year, 2 years in a row in their last year.
Absolutely. I do believe OU is going to demolish this past this weekend coming up and move forward into the MAC tournament. Hopefully these seniors, as you said, have a huge confidence boost and a lot of weight lifted off them after the losses of late. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have John Kostis with Ohio football.
Look, he's watching.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Toucan Sam.
What's it take to get some hunky construction equipment up in here, huh?
I hope you're joking.
I think we need to follow the advice of Jesus and get down, girl. Go ahead, get down.
Please state your name and the role you're auditioning for.
Hi, my name is Christopher Walken.
What if it is Loch Ness Monster?
I mean, I got some shopping to do at Whole Foods, but I'll join in.
But to my captain.
I'm right then. I knew I was right.
As we said earlier, the Bobcats had a huge win against Kent State earlier this Tuesday, 27-0. We're here with John Coast to talk about some key plays and how the Bobcats had a huge victory. John?
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Mitchell. Ohio blanked Kent State 27-0. It was the first shutout Ohio had against an FBS school since they shut out Buffalo way back in 2004. Yes, there was another shutout between then. It was Austin Peay in 2012, but Austin Peay is an FCS school, so it's their first time in over a decade getting a big goose egg on another school in the same division as them. Now, with all that being said, there were a couple plays that really stood out for this Ohio team. First off, the leadership of Darius Vick really shone through this week because the last couple weeks he has not looked top-notch. This week, what he ended up doing was he completed 7 of 13 passes for 73 yards and a touchdown, and then he had 22 carries on the ground for an additional 107 yards and a touchdown there. That varies greatly from what Vick had been doing in the previous 3 games. In the previous 3 games, he was 61 for 100 in completing passes, and then he had a total of 572 yards for 1 touchdown compared to 3 interceptions. He had 32 carries as well, just 10 more than he did last night in the previous 3 games during Ohio's 3-game skid, but he only ran for 54 yards compared to the 107 yards last night. He had no touchdowns on the ground as well. So let's go to the tape and look at a couple of plays. The first one is a Darius Vick pass. He did not have a lot of completions, but this one he completes to Sebastian Smith. If you look, Jordan Reed is going to cut across the middle. He draws a safety, and then the corner slips up. There was only one safety there. Sebastian Smith goes to the end zone. 49 yards for a touchdown. It's his lone reception on the day, and a lot of that had to do with Darius Reed drawing off the safety, because if the corner slips and the safety's right there, that's a 15-yard completion, or maybe an incompletion because the pass was not all that solid overall. Now, the rushing attack was something that was vastly different for Ohio than it has been in the previous couple of weeks. Ohio ran for 333 yards against Kent State, a team that was only giving up about 150 yards per game. If you look at the game against Buffalo, Buffalo was giving up 187 yards per game at that time. Now Buffalo's defense is averaging 174.9 per game against them. OU only ran for 54 yards against Buffalo. Against Western Michigan has allowed 187 yards a game against them on the ground once again. Ohio only ran for 99 against them. Ohio's rushing game was doing very poorly after the absence of Pappy White. Pappy White still is not on the field for Ohio, but it seems that they've gained some ground, particularly after the game against Bowling Green. Bowling Green allows 169 yards against them per game on the ground. Ohio ended up giving 299 yards to Bowling Green, and then again 333 against Kent State, including this rush that Darius Vick had. Vick ends up going on the weak side here, and if you look, there's a guy who jumps offside. It's your left end right there. And then on the other side, you'll see that there's a little bit of an overload happening, all right? Vick's going to see what happens. Then you see he has one guy in his blind side, spins perfectly out of the way, and he's gone. He gets the first down, gets some change before getting knocked out of bounds. That's just great heads-up awareness. And again, he was able to trust his weak side blocker. In this case, it's Mike McQueen. And once he gets everything out of the way there, then he's able to just find the hole. And that's something that Darius Vick did very well throughout the game. Again, 107 yards from a quarterback's an outstanding feat. Those are Madden numbers that you're hearing. Maybe if Michael Vick is your quarterback on Madden. Now, another play is Darius Vick making 5 different tacklers miss on this rush right here. Once again, it's heads-up presence in the pocket. He notices that there's man, so then he puts Daz Patterson on his right side. Now he's going to rush outside. You see there are 3 men following him. He makes 1 miss, 2 miss, 3. Now he's going to spin 4, and then he slides down before a 5th tackler misses him. Once again, that's elusiveness that you cannot buy. If he does not elude 1 defender, you end up with -7 yards on that play. It becomes 3rd and 17. Instead, you have another first down for the Ohio Bobcats, and Ohio ends up scoring on that drive. I'm not saying that the result of the game is any different there, but to keep the momentum rolling is definitely important. Now you have one of the more intriguing plays in the game. You have a trick play that Kent State tries to run, and it doesn't make much sense. It's almost like they watched the longest yard before the game. They throw their entire offensive line away, and you look, there's no one that is open. There's only one guy running to the flat, and at that point, Javon Johnson is able to jump up and then intercept the ball from Kent State's quarterback, and he gets knocked down at about the 10-yard line. There was nothing that they could have done there. Kent State's quarterback did all he could, but the reality of the situation is that when you have no one that's going to block for you, it's very easy to have Javon Johnson, a guy who runs about a 4.6 40-yard dash, get in there and make a good play. One more play is Darius Vick having another big gain on the ground. This time he runs for 40 yards, and if you look, there's a defensive lineman who decides not to go towards the strong side, cuts to the weak side, leaves a huge opening, and Vick is able to explode 30 yards before getting hit, and finally, after a 40-yard rush, he is taken down. That's 40 of his 107 yards. Vick looked absolutely outstanding throughout the entire game. Now, Ohio has 2 more games on their schedule. First, they're playing a very low Ball State team, and after that, they will be playing Northern Illinois, perennially one of the best teams in the MAC. Northern Illinois did lose to Toledo earlier this year, so they are no longer the top dog. However, that MAC West is very highly contested. Bowling Green looks as though they're going to run away with it in the East, but ultimately, it looks as though it's going to be a tough MAC West.
Thank you, John. Hopefully the Bobcats can win one more, as they went 6-6 last year and were shut out of a bowl game. That does it here for Ohio Sports Zone this Thursday, but next Thursday will be the final show before you have the Thanksgiving break, so hopefully you guys join us. With Mitchell Lyons, I'm Bobby Lyons signing off. Have a great night.